Dopamine discipline. Extroverts aren't just talkative. They're literally wired to crave stimulation. Your brain's dopamine system, the one responsible for motivation and reward, is more sensitive to external cues. When you meet new people, try new things, or even just walk into a loud room with flashing lights and 12 different conversations, your brain goes, yes, more. One study used fMRI scans to show that extroverts have significantly more activity in the medial orbitofrontal cortex, a region associated with evaluating rewards. Another 2005 study from Vanderbilt University found that extroverts had more active dopamine pathways than introverts. Translation? You're biologically rewarded for being out there. Because extroverts chase novelty in high stimulus environments, they can also become overstimulated, impulsive, or just plain scatter. Schedule your stimulation. Think of it like feeding your brain a delicious 3-course meal instead of shoving snack into your mouth all day. The goal is to maintain high energy without burnout. Schedule dopamine blocks during the week. A dance class on Monday, trivia night on Thursday, new cafe on Saturday. Use novelty intentionally. When you feel the itch for stimulation, have a list ready. New podcast, call that funny friend, go for a spontaneous walk. Take short intentional social breaks between these events so your brain can process the reward. This way, your dopamine stays fresh, like a playlist on shuffle, not on loop. Talk less, connect more. You probably know this already. Extroverts talk a lot. We're often so focused on expressing ourselves that we forget to invite connection. Talking about ourselves activates the same brain regions as food, money, and sex. Yes, when you're telling that 15-minute story about how you got lost in Amsterdam, your brain thinks it's having dessert. But too much me talk turns conversations into TED Talks and relationships into passive audiences. Make a game out of your social energy. For every 2 minutes you talk, challenge yourself to spend 1 minute asking thoughtful questions. Replace I statements with you curiosity. Instead of, I love sushi, try, what's your favorite weird food combo? Redirect the spotlight onto others in a way that makes them shine. This creates emotional reciprocity, not just attention. Also, listen with your face, not just your ears. Active listening is an extrovert's secret weapon. It makes people feel seen, not just heard. Talking builds attention, and listening builds loyalty. Recharge smart. Most people assume extroverts are endless social engines. Wrong. Extroverts burn out too, but in a more confusing internal way. Where an introvert might crash after too much interaction, an extrovert might feel empty, annoyed, or strangely lonely, even while surrounded by people. While extroverts seek stimulation, their executive function, the brain's internal battery for decision-making and focus, gets drained just like anyone else's, especially when switching between multiple social environments. To avoid crashing, you need to proactively restore your energy. Block out 30 minutes every day with no conversations, no notifications, no performance. Just you and the quiet. Walking alone. Walking alone with no podcast recalibrates your mind and nervous system faster than you think. 1 day a week, skip the optional social plans. Instead, journal, read, or stare at your ceiling fan. You're not being antisocial. You're being a charged up version of your future self. Quiet leadership. Extroverts often find themselves in leadership roles naturally. Your presence fills rooms. Your voice steers conversations. But here's the paradox. If you're always the loudest in the room, you may accidentally mute the power of others. Extroverted leaders excel when managing passive teams, but introverted leaders outperform when their team is proactive and full of ideas. So, what does this mean for you? Become the DJ of energy. Turn up the volume when needed, and drop the beat to let others freestyle. Call people in. That's interesting. What do you think, Maya? Share credit loudly. This idea actually came from Jordan. Use the 30% rule in meetings. Speak for no more than 30% of the time, then open the floor. Label your mood. Extroverts are outwardly expressive. We often perform happiness even when we're feeling stressed, sad, or anxious. In fact, extroverts are statistically less likely to report emotional distress, not because they feel less of it, but because they're trained to keep the vibe up. When people verbally identify their emotions, their amygdala, the brain's fear center, reduces activity. This process called affect labeling literally calms you down just by naming what you're feeling. Every day, spend 3 minutes checking in with yourself. Use a journal, an app, or just a sticky note. Ask, what am I feeling? Why? Label it honestly. Not I'm fine, but I'm overstimulated and low-key annoyed because I said yes to too much today. Tell a friend. The right people appreciate your emotional honesty more than your constant cheer. You don't always have to be the walk-in sunshine. You're allowed to be the storm cloud too. The power of no. Extroverts have a tough time saying no. Why? Because every social invite sounds like potential, a new friend, a better story, a surprise adventure. But eventually, your calendar looks like it's been attacked by confetti and your energy is running on fumes. The fear of missing out or FOMO hits extroverts harder. They are more likely to overcommit due to the anxiety of being left out. Before agreeing to anything, say, "Let me check and get back to you." This pause gives your rational brain a chance to catch up with your impulsive one. Rate the invitation from 1 to 5 on energizing potential. If it's below 3, politely decline. Yes, you're allowed. Create template declines so you're never caught off guard. For example, "I'd love to, but I'm already overbooked this week. Let's rain check?" Remember, saying no to one thing is saying yes to a better version of you. Strategic silence. Extroverts love to feel silence. Silence feels awkward, so we break it with words. But what if I told you that silence used well is one of the most powerful communication tools you have? Leaders who use strategic silence are seen as more thoughtful, composed, and intelligent. When someone finishes a point, pause for 2 seconds before you speak. This shows presence. During storytelling, pause right before a punchline or key detail. It builds tension and impact. If you're asked a tough question, say, "Let me think about that for a second." Instant gravitas. Introvert mode. Extroverts often thrive in fast-paced, high-energy conversations. But many people, especially introverts, don't communicate this way. Introverts think before they speak, while extroverts often speak to think. It's not better or worse, it's just a different rhythm. When you adapt to someone's communication style, they feel safe, seen, and respected. Here's how. If someone is quiet, match their pace. Speak a little slower. Ask open-ended questions. Give them room to breathe. Avoid rapid-fire storytelling unless invited. Look for cues of interest, like eye contact, nods, or subtle smiles. In group settings, be the introvert amplifier. Draw out their thoughts, validate them, and reframe them in ways that spotlight their brilliance. Bonus? Introverts make incredible allies once they feel you're not trying to dominate them. Charisma with purpose. Extroverts often become natural performers, the life of the party, the icebreaker, the storyteller. But what if you use that charisma not to entertain, but to inspire and influence? When talking to someone, pretend they're the only person in the world. Put the phone away, maintain eye contact, respond with intention, speak slowly, and drop filler words. Power isn't loud, it's calm confidence. Don't try to impress, try to make them feel impressive. Deeper circles. Extroverts often have wide social circles, tons of contacts, events, DMs, and acquaintances. But here's the question, how many of those connections are truly deep? Depth of connection, not quantity, is the greatest predictor of long-term happiness and psychological well-being. Having 100 party invites doesn't mean you have 5 people who'd help you at 2 a.m. Every few months ask yourself, who energizes me after we hang out? Who drains me, even if they're fun in small doses? Who really knows me? Who do I really know? Then take action. Invest more time in core people, even if it means skipping events. Send a random appreciation message to someone you care about. This builds closeness without needing a party. Show them you're a loyal and reliable person.